Hey, we are back. It is Thursday, not 12 o'clock this time. It is actually 2 o'clock this time. Normally we do our sessions, Q&A, real estate questions and answers. Thursdays at 12 o'clock. Today I had meetings up until about, let's say, 1 o'clock today. So I am officially here 2 o'clock. We're going to start this thing off like we've done every single week consistently for, I believe, 7 weeks now. So here is the place where you can come and ask anything, everything real estate related. Feel free to drop comments, or if you want to join in on the session, you very much well can. This is a safe space for you guys to ask anything, everything real estate. If you want to buy rentals, if you have aspirations to buy rentals, if you wanted to get into flipping houses and or wholesaling, this is a place where you can ask me. I know a little bit more than the average Joe. I'm not a guru, but I will do my best to answer any and every question that you guys may have. If I can't answer the questions, then, I might try to answer them like next week, or I'll try to find the answer and then come back the following week and see if we can see if I can answer those. So normally I go for about an hour. If I do go over an hour, obviously Instagram only limits me to 60 minutes. But if you guys have a lot of questions and we do go over an hour, I will start a separate session again, and we'll keep this thing rolling. So I see we got some people that have joined already. Also, Sweet Tone, how you doing? Lucci, how you living? William Levant, Smiley, Chuckles, how you living? Yeah, nice to see you guys. If you're new, I'm glad you guys joined. Please feel free to share with anybody you know that might want to get into real estate in any capacity. Share it with your friends, drop it on your stories, anything like that. We are doing this consistently every Thursday. I'm trying to help you guys out, drop some gems for you guys, because let's face it, right? If you don't have any experience in real estate, it could seem very cumbersome and a large thing to kind of get involved in, and not a lot of people have that person in their corner that they can just bounce ideas off of without going into some type of agreement or having to pay them, or let's say, oh yeah, join my course if you want any information from me. So I wanted to create this space for you guys to ask me anything and everything without having to pay and just talk real estate. Because once I get started talking about real estate and some of my experiences or answering you guys questions, I can pretty much go all day, because I do this every day. So please feel free to drop some questions in the comments section. If you want to join me on the live, you actually can. But as far as this week, I'll give you guys an update about what I've been going on or doing this week. Basically moved into this house that you guys have been noticing on my IG over the last 4 months. I've been renovating. We just moved in. And let's see, what happened the past week? We did finish the tiling, the bathrooms, got those done. I have guys in here right now in the other room. They're tiling my foyer. So got that taken care of. We did run into a scenario where we had a blunder on some tile. So key point, something that I learned just now, probably within the last day or so, which is usually how I get most of my experiences. I learn through the experiences. There's a difference between ceramic tile and cement tile. Cement tile is more so for outside purposes, like your patio or anything outside, right? That's what cement tile is used for. You also have ceramic tile. Ceramic tile is your typical tile. That's what you typically see, right? Ceramic tile. That goes in your bathrooms, it goes on your floors and things like that. Ceramic tile has a very glossy finish, right? So if you pour water on it, if you pour water on it or anything wet, it typically rolls off. That's why it goes in your showers and on your floors and things like that. Cement tile does not have that glossy finish. Cement tile is actually porous. Cement tile has little tiny microscopic holes, so when it comes to water going on cement tile, it actually soaks it up, right? And so when you install tile, you install a tile, right? And typically, when you're done installing it, you got to put grout on, right? And grout is the sand stuff in between the tile, in between each tile. You know, those grout lines. Well, when you're applying grout, it gets really messy, right? Whatever color your grout is, it gets really messy. So when you grout your ceramic tile, it's all this sandy, soupy material, right? And the colors don't stain the ceramic tile because remember what I said, the ceramic tile has this glossy finish. You can just wipe it off. Well, cement tile does not. Remember, I told you it's porous. So I was using a black grout for this black tile that I'm putting in. And remember, it's a cement tile. So when they started grouting and putting that soupy material over the tile and it's black and it's got this white color on it, it started soaking in. So my black tile that I got installed that has this white accent lines actually has like smear black marks on it. And this is just a tidbit that I just learned the other day that, you know, for you guys, when you're shopping for your own home and you're choosing different tile materials, you got the ceramic tile, you got the cement tile, keep this in mind. You cannot grout cement tile without sealing it first. You have to seal the cement tile first, then you can grout it. The sealant acts as a protective layer between the porous concrete material and the actual grout. So you can wipe it off without it soaking into the tile and destroying the color of your actual cement tile. So I just learned that because we had the cement tile put in, they grouted it, put all this black grout over it, soupy, and it stained the tile. So yeah, I'm sharing that with you guys because that's actually what happened this week. So I want to share that with you guys. If you guys are in the search for tile, keep that in mind. Ceramic tile, you don't have to seal because it already comes with a protective layer over it. That's why it's slick. That's why it goes in your showers and your floors and water can touch it and all that great stuff. But for me, cement tile, you gotta seal it first. So looks like we have some new people joining in. Kristen, what's going on? Sanella Chan, how you living? My boy Wayne, Reggie, T Worlds, Tony, what's going on, man? How you living? Coach Boats, how y'all living, man? I'm glad y'all joined. Some of you guys are new. If you guys don't know already, this is a space where you guys can ask any and every question regarding real estate. If you have bought properties before, if you have experience, you can also chit chat with me, and we'll also, you know, chop it up about some of our experiences that we may have. But if you are new and you want to get into the game, please feel free to ask a question. We're about 8 minutes in. You guys haven't asked me anything yet. So somebody asked me a question. Like I said, anything. If you talk about finance, you want to get into finances about real estate, choosing the right loan, lender, you know, searching for a property manager, what to look for, tenants, how to find tenants, place tenants, all that kind of stuff, rehabs, anything within the process of rehabs, hiring contractors, firing contractors, setting a budget, you know, what to keep in your potential house that you're trying to buy, what to save, what to keep, what to throw away, buying materials, all of that kind of stuff is open game. If that's something that you guys have been inquiring about and haven't had the right person to ask. Remember, a lot of these things, people ask for an absorbent amount of money through courses and things like that. So this information is not free. Most of the time. So that's why I'm doing it for free, because I feel like this is my way to give back. There's no sense of hoarding all this information and experience that I have without sharing it with you guys, so you guys don't make the same mistakes. So looks like we do have a question from Kristen. How do you find reliable tenants? Reliable tenants. There's no such thing as reliable tenants. The moment you believe that a tenant is reliable, that's the moment you're going to set yourself up. Yes, there are great tenants out there. There's some tenants that stay in your house for 10 years, 15 years, 8 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, right? And they can be great, but there's also potential for bad tenants, right? Because let's face it, people are people. People lie on applications, and people also put in applications that look great, and then they show their true colors once they get into your house. So there's no real way of finding a reliable tenant. It's more so about your screening process. How thorough is your screening process, right? So if you're going to be managing yourself and not having a property manager find your tenants, you want to vet your tenants as deep as possible without going against equal opportunity. What is it? Equal opportunity housing laws or something like that. I forgot the acronym. I should know it because I'm an agent. But there are laws that prevent you from actually discriminating against tenants. So if you are being compliant, what's going on, Sneaker Fiend, Sax Therapist, how y'all living? We're answering this question: how do you find reliable tenants? But yeah, if that's something you do plan on doing, your vetting process is going to be the most important thing. So credit checks. Make sure you check credit, right? And just because somebody has a low credit score does not mean they're going to be a bad tenant. It shows you a history of how they are with their finances, but doesn't necessarily mean they're bad tenants, right? And so you can have a threshold, right, in your mind, but you can't necessarily tell somebody, hey, you have a low credit score, we can't, accept you. You can find other reasons to say, you can form it in a way to where, hey, you just weren't approved, right? You're not approved because we found another tenant, or you didn't meet the criteria. But you can't outright say, hey, your credit is too low. But credit is a big thing, right? So you want to look for any negative marks on their credit. What's their payment history like? Look, are there credit blemishes from not paying people? Are there credit blemishes because of late fees or things like that? Does it have anything to do with housing, right? So that's something that you're going to have to sort through and figure out. Well, this person has a bad credit because, something that happened 5 years ago with, student loans or something like that. Or, hey, this person has, their credit's been dinged because they haven't been paying their car note or their rent, and they've had their wages garnished and all that stuff. That kind of tells you a picture right there, right? Also, if you're vetting your own tenants and you're bringing on your own tenants, when you do get that application and you do tell them there's a credit check, and let's say you're in person with them telling them this, and this is one thing I learned, right? When I was looking for my own tenants and they came to the house and they saw it before they put the application in, and I would tell them, I say, hey, there's a credit check involved. I would pay attention to their facial expression, their mannerisms after I said that. Sometimes I would say, hey, there's a credit check involved, and you'd see people like, oh, okay, that's fine. That lets you know right there, hey, okay, they don't have an issue with their credit, right? But then there's sometimes where I'll be like, hey, there's a credit check, and then you'll see folks be like, they'll kind of give that look, and then you automatically kind of know, like, hey, there might be something funky going on with their credit. So yeah, so credit is a big thing. Also, where you're finding your tenants at, right? I had this conversation earlier today. Craigslist is a way to find tenants, but Craigslist is the wild west when it comes to finding people to do certain things, especially tenants. I can't tell you that you're not going to find great tenants on Craigslist, but you can definitely find a lot of bad tenants on Craigslist, right? So where you're finding your people is going to be a big thing, right? And what you want to do is put in processes in place to have people go through checkpoints, right? So I can't just say, hey, yeah, there's an application fee, fill out the application, and that's all good, right? No, I want you to fill out this application, and I want you to go on Zillow and have to make a profile and all that kind of stuff. People will get discouraged when they got to go through certain steps to get what they want. And if they can't go and fill out an application, or if they can't do the small things like create a profile, XYZ, blah, 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 then that lets you know right there they're probably not going to be worth your time, right? Because these are simple things, right? If you want to rent my apartment, these are some of the simple things that you're going to have to do in order to apply. And if you're not able to do those, then I probably don't want you, right? It's the same thing when hiring contractors. You can go on Craigslist and just hire anybody, right? But what I like to do is go on there and create an application sheet and all this kind of stuff. And guess what? It weeds out a lot of people, right? You don't want to be wasting your time. So when it comes to finding reliable tenants, those are some of the things that you'd want to do. Credit checks, Also where you're finding them. Zillow now requires you to pay to post ads for renting your property on Zillow. Pay it, because Zillow is what a lot of people use, this high traffic website. People use Zillow a lot, right? You're going to find better quality people on Zillow than you're probably going to find on Craigslist, right? Trulia, apartments.com, right? Those are the normal places that people go when they find or they're looking for homes. When you're talking about Craigslist, you can get any and everybody on there, and sometimes those people aren't the greatest, right? Security deposits up front. Sorry, that's what it is. I need the security deposit up front. I don't need it. I don't need it 2 weeks after you move in. I don't need it a month after you move in. I need the security deposit up front and first month's rent. Plain and simple, right? That's, hey, you got to have the money to play. You got to pay to play. So those are a couple things that I use to try to vet tenants in a better way, or I have done in a better way, to eliminate finding just any and everybody to put in my house. Because once you put that tenant in your house, that's it, right? And to get them out, you're gonna have to go through a series of processes that might not be conducive for you or your time, right? Going through the courts is not fun. Being sued is not fun. Having to dispute this, that, and the third is not fun. Having to get calls every day because XYZ is broke, or blah, 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 the neighbor's music's too loud. What does that got to do with you, right? So you're never going to find the perfect tenant, but you can do certain things to mitigate getting yourself in a scenario where you're dealing with somebody that's not going to be in the best interest of your house. Got new people joined in. My father's plan. What's going on? Richard DeFlair, how you living, brother? Looks like we got a question from Reggie. How to buy your first investment property under an LLC? Very, 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 very simple, right? So, if you're in Maryland, like you're in Baltimore, for example, right? If you're looking to buy a house, an investment property, if you're looking for houses on the market, I'll say on the market, for example. If you're putting in an offer and you put that offer in, they're going to ask you for who's buying this property. It's not going to be you. It's not going to be your own personal name. It's going to be the LLC. When you do put that LLC name under the actual offer, the agent is going to want to see your LLC documents, right? So they're going to see that you're in good standing, and they're going to see the articles of incorporation probably. The articles of incorporation. So they want to make sure that your LLC is actually legit, and you're not just throwing out a fake LLC name for the sake of throwing out a fake LLC name. So this is something that you're probably going to have on the before you actually start putting in offers. An LLC is very quick and easy to get established. You can actually go online right now today and create an LLC for a couple $100 and be done, right? They're going to send you the good standing paperwork and the articles all in the mail within 7 days. So that's something that you can do right now. If you can't wait and you're on the hunt and looking for properties right now and you want that LLC paperwork right now, you can go downtown. This is in Baltimore, for example. Don't know about your cities or where you guys are in, but I'm pretty sure there's a government building downtown that handles small businesses where you can go and actually create that LLC. You can go there, go down to the office, fill out that same paperwork you'd fill out online, and you'd fill out an you'd basically apply for the paperwork to be expedited. So for example, here in Baltimore, I can go downtown to that government building and I can go fill out that paperwork in 10 minutes, wait in line, and within 30 minutes, I've been approved for my LLC. I paid a couple $100 more to get it expedited for that day. And when I leave that office, I have my LLC docs, I have my good standing docs, and I have basically everything I need, and my LLC's up and running. So that same day, I can go apply for properties and put that LLC down, because no agent is going to take that LLC name on your offer and not ask for the correct paperwork or the right paperwork. And plus, that's just how you want to do business. You want to do business the right way. So if you're buying your first investment property under the LLC, get the LLC started before you start putting in offers. And once you actually buy the property, that property is now owned by your LLC. The LLC owns that house, not you personally. The LLC does. And then at that point, you would obviously get, insurance and all that kind of stuff. So that's how you would buy an investment property through an LLC. And once that property is in an LLC, it is protected to a certain degree. And if you, for whatever reason, find yourself in a suit and you get sued for whatever, $500,000, and let's say that house is worth $100,000. Well, guess what? They're going to take that house because it's $100,000, and I believe everything else is protected. I'm not a lawyer, but the LLC does offer some protection from your personal assets versus the assets that are associated with that LLC. So that's why you would get an LLC. That's also why people put individual properties in different individual LLCs. I don't do that. My properties are all under one LLC, but I also don't have like 50 properties either. So after a certain number of properties is when I'm going to probably create a different LLC. But for right now, I'm operating under one LLC. I know people that do, like I said, differently. One LLC is for each property. And then also there's, benefits to using an LLC when you're wholesaling, but different conversation, different topic. That's something I can answer if you guys ask that. But yeah, Mark from Dade, what's going on, brother? King Rod, my boy out there in Cali, how you living, man? Glad to see you on. I see you out there. Hey, I see you, man. You're doing real good, man. I'm glad to see you out there doing your thing, man. So glad you can join. If this is your first time joining, and you're still here, this is a space where basically I answer anything, everything real estate. You can ask me any question. I'll do my best to answer it, right? And offer my experience or expertise, whatever you want to call it, to help better assist you. And also I'll share my experiences on here, drop gems if I need to. But basically this is just a space for you guys to ask any and everything, because one, I'm not trying to charge you guys for courses, right? Courses are a lot of money, and a lot of this information actually costs a lot of money to get. And this is just my form of giving back. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, or if you actually want to join the live session, you very much well can. I leave this space open for you guys every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Today is different because I had meetings all up until 1 o'clock, so we pushed it to 2. So yeah, also share with your folks, anybody else is in real estate or your friends or anything like that, man. Share it with them, drop it into your stories. Share this thing, man. Let folks know what I'm doing. I'm trying to do this for you guys, because real estate is something that us millennials are trying to get into and grow and try to give back to the next generation. And I think that was a firework. I hope it's a firework. But yeah, this is my way of giving back. So what's going on, Keneal? Yeah, appreciate that, my man Mark. Keneal, my line brother, what's going on, man, out there in Pensacola? I know he's trying to get into real estate too. Actually making some moves. I know he's definitely on it. Mark, stop playing. We had a conversation the other day. I see you. You need to go ahead and buy you a little something down there in South Florida, man, in Miami, man. So yeah, y'all drop some comments, man. Drop some questions for me, man. We're about 24 minutes in. We've already had 2 great questions from Reggie and Kristen. But yeah, for anybody else that's on here, feel free to ask me anything. Drop some comments, some questions. I am here for probably the next 40 minutes. So I want to make sure I fill this space up. And if you do have a question, it's probably some question somebody else wants to know too. So feel free to drop those off, man. But other than that, I will say that I'll talk, I guess, until I get another question. I'll tell you guys what I did this morning when it comes to those meetings. So as you guys know, I'm an investor first. When I go out and look at properties, I actually have my own marketing. So I have marketing that goes out, and people, I call people or whatever, and those people tell me that they have a house to sell. So I go look at their houses. And so I went to this house this morning, and when I'm going to buy as an investor, I'm looking at 2 different things, right? Can I buy it, right? Does it make sense to buy it? And if I can't buy it, can I wholesale it and or list it? And so normally when I do go, these are people that want to sell their houses to an investor cash for whatever reason, and also because they want things to move a little bit quicker, right? And so they don't want to really deal with an agent, primarily because most of the times agents cost money, they cost fees, and people don't want to go through that when they're selling their house, whether for whatever circumstance they're trying to sell it, whether it be quick or what, right? So I go there and buddy's like, hey, yeah, I got this house, you see it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, cool. He was like, yeah, it's listed with an agent already. I was like, wait, hold on. So if you're listed with an agent, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't do anything with you. If you're listed with an agent, I can't buy this house through you. I have to go through the agent, right? And I also that also means I can't wholesale it. You can't wholesale properties that are listed with agents, right? You can't buy a property through the owner if they're listed with an agent. That agent, once that client signs that listing agreement, they're bound to that agent, right? And they're bound to that agent not only for that time, but for the duration of the contract. And even after the contract is concluded, there's usually a clause in there that states that for 60 days or 90 days after post this contract ends, any sale of the property, the agent is due X amount of dollars because they help generate that lead or they help generate that person to sell. So yeah, tough waters to navigate. But anytime I go to a house and somebody says I'm already listed with an agent, I can't do anything. I can't. I could buy through the agent if the house is worth it, but 9 times out of 10, that price is already hiked up, including the agent's fees, and it's usually not worth it for me. Okay, we got a question from Keneal. So, boom, there are a few properties on the market for under $50K. What is the best funding for these types of homes? I would not say cash, unless you have about $500,000 in the bank. Yes, they are cheap, but I would not recommend cash. And anytime you have a loan that's less than $100,000, it's going to be tough to get financing, whether it be through a bank or whatever, right? Because those loans are typically smaller, right? Now you can go through a bank, but you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay. You're going to basically be looking at a conventional loan, and conventional loans is 20% down, right? So if you're talking about $50K, 20% might end up being $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, whatever 20% is of less than 50. But if you wanted to go to a hard money lender, right? For example, I've had properties that are less than $50,000 or more than $50,000, and the rehab cost plus the purchase price is still less than $100,000. People don't like to lend on that kind of money because it's not a lot, right? It's not a lot of money, and hard money lenders don't really like to lend that little bit amount of money. And if you do search and find somebody that does, you're probably going to pay a premium to get that loan amount. They like to see $100,000 loans or loans over $100,000. So really, honestly and truly, unless you're buying cash, which I wouldn't recommend, the conventional route is probably going to be the best route because if you do end up paying that 20%, you're already, you got to think about it. You've already cut into that cost tremendously, especially if it's a property that's cheaper, less than $50,000. So you can go hard money, but you're probably going to pay a premium, and it's probably going to be you're probably going to spend some time searching for a hard money lender that actually lends to loans under $100,000. And you can also go the conventional route, which I would probably recommend, given that that 20% is not going to be an absorbent amount, as opposed to buying a property that's $100,000 and you got to put $20,000 down. You got to buy a property that's $40,000. 20% of $40,000. I am not good at math, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be somewhere around $15,000. No, I don't know, $10,000, $8,000. I don't know. Actually, like $8,000, something like that. That's fine, right? I would recommend going the conventional route if you're buying something less than $50,000, for the sake of Hard money is going to be difficult, and cash, unless you have a lot of cash, I wouldn't sink all your money into that deal. Once you buy cash and put your money all into that deal, that cash is gone, done, right? And the name of the game is to leverage your cash, not spend it all, not dump it all into one property. And if you dump it all into one property, how are you going to get it out? Right? That's what you're trying to do. You want to spend your money and be able to get it back, not spend your money and then it's sunk into the deal and you can't get it back. So that's what I would recommend, Keneal. Great question. If you are looking at houses under $50,000, conventional route is probably going to be the route that I would suggest. The only reason why I don't suggest, well, not going to say don't suggest, the only reason why I shy away from conventional loans that are over a certain price point is because that 20% is a killer, man. It's a killer. So, you're, like I said, you're buying a house for $100,000, $20,000 is going toward that purchase price. I don't know who's got $20,000 laying around, but if I did have $20,000, I'm probably not going to put it all into a house. I'm going to put, as minimum as I can and try to leverage the rest of the money that I have doing something else. So use a bank, conventional loan, drop that 20% and get into that house, man, and maybe use your own funds for the actual rehab. In fact, let me ask you this. So if you are looking at properties under $50,000, what kind of rehab are you anticipating to do? Are these houses like complete guts? Are they houses that need cosmetic upgrades? What's the deal with those houses you're finding? So conventional and then hard money for rehab, or what are options for rehab? So if you do conventional, you're going to have to fund the actual rehab. That's why I asked you, what kind of rehab are we talking about? What are these houses looking like? If they're less than $50,000, are they guts? Are they busted, broke down houses that need a lot of work? Or are they decent properties that might need lipstick renovations to them? That'll be the question I ask, because conventional, yes, you put that 20% down and you have the property, you bought it, but there are no renovation costs renovation money is going to be given to you for that house. So keep that in mind, right? If you're doing hard money, and let's say you do find somebody that lends on deals less than $100K, then that rehab money will be afforded to you based on the budget that you give your hard money guy. So you'll have the funds to renovate the property. Just make sure you have money in the bank. They're not going to lend to you if you don't have money in the bank, because remember, you have to front the draws. I think we've had this conversation about hard money. You get draw money, but you have to front the draw money. So basically, if you're doing a $10,000 renovation and you're using hard money, and let's say you split your draws up into two, so $5,000, $5,000, you're going to spend $5,000 of your own money first. You're going to call your hard money guy. He's going to come out and verify that you spent $5,000 on the renovations, and then the very next day he's going to wire you $5,000 back. So that it's a rinse and repeat cycle. So you really don't spend your money. You just have to front your money. So that's the deal with hard money. When it's conventional, they're basically lending you money for the purchase of the house. That's it. So there is no rehab money when it comes to conventional. So if you are doing a property that's less than $50,000 and you are doing cosmetic, primarily cosmetic upgrades, paint, carpet, a little razzle-dazzle here, changing out the light fixtures, maybe conventional is probably going to be good for you if you do have some other money in the bank, and it's not going to cost you a lot. Carpet is cheap, right? Paint is cheap, right? Going and buying new light fixtures is cheap. Toilets, new toilets, you can buy a toilet for $120 at Home Depot. Cheap, right? And if you're doing it yourself, it gets even cheaper. So if this is something you want to get into, and then, you want to spend your own time into it versus hiring contractors, or maybe you only hire contractors for a certain aspect of the job, conventional might be the route, because remember, you're spending that 20% up front and you're cutting into that equity immediately, but then you're only doing a cosmetic renovation. So if you're only putting a couple grand into it and you have that couple grand, it's probably better long term that you actually do go the conventional route, because if you went the hard money route, yes, they're going to give you money to purchase the house. Yes, you're going to have yes, you're going to be able to renovate the property using their money, but it's a short-term loan, so you're still going to have to refinance that house, which means you have to close again. So you're going to spend more money going the hard money route, or just about the same amount of money going the hard money route versus the conventional route, and then you using your own funds to do the cosmetic renovations. Because the hard money piece, the refinance is difficult sometimes, because the house has to be able to refinance and be at the value the bank says it needs to be in order to refinance. So hard money is great for bigger deals, not so much for smaller deals like, $20,000 house, $30,000 a house. Unless you're doing extreme renovations. You buy a house for $20,000 and it needs $70,000 or it needs $80,000 worth of work, and you're gonna sell it for $250,000. Hard money, right? That's a good way. That's a good scenario. But if you're gonna buy a house for $20,000 and you're only planning on putting $5,000 into it, I would probably go a conventional loan on that one. So I hope that answers your question, brother. Because I've had that scenario pop up before, and I've actually been in a scenario where I've had a house that I wanted to buy that was cheaper than, I think that house was like $32,000. I think I got it under contract for $32,000, and I was only putting like $10K into it. Yeah, I didn't. It was very difficult to find a hard money lender that would lend at that amount. So I had trouble finding somebody that would lend. You're probably going to find the same thing, and if you do find somebody, they're probably going to you're probably going to be paying a premium with the interest rate on that house. But again, you just want to get into the deal. So back to what I said, I would go conventional still if you're only doing cosmetic renovations, man. Then carpet, paint, light fixtures and stuff. That stuff is not expensive. It starts getting expensive when you start talking about like taking down walls, framing, having to redo the electric, the plumbing, putting an HVAC system in, or doing a roof, or all windows. Windows are windows can be expensive, especially if you're dealing with a house that has a lot of windows, because windows are about 100. You can go to Home Depot right now and buy windows for about $120 and $150, but you still have to get somebody to install them. And sometimes people will say, well, $100 a window. So really now you're all in for a window, $250, almost $300 per window. If you have a house that has all steel or wooden windows and you have 10 windows, that's a lot of money. So again, if you're not doing any of that and you're just putting carpet, paint, touching up stuff, by all means, try to come out of pocket. Hope that answers your question, bro. Looks like we got some new folks with love. Mimi, how you living? Honeybun23. If you guys are new, this is a space where I'm answering anything, everything real estate. I don't care what market you're in. If you have any questions, or if you want to buy a house, you want to sell a house, you want to buy rentals, if you want to build a rental empire, if you want to get into off-market properties and how to set up your marketing, how to set up a marketing budget, and working with VAs, and if you want to wholesale, if you want to flip, anything like that, you can ask me questions about that kind of stuff, because I am doing this for free every week, Thursdays, 12 o'clock, me giving you guys gems, so much more, dropping my gems basically that I've learned over the years of my own personal experience. So I'm creating this space for you guys. This is how I give back. So please feel free to drop a comment or a question, or if you would like to join the live and talk about a personal experience or something you're thinking about tossing up in your head, you can do the same thing as well. So I just want to, like I said, make sure I give you guys the space to have these conversations. So again, feel free to ask me anything. I'm just here waiting for you guys, basically. So if you guys are going to ask me any questions, or if I'm waiting for questions, I'll just keep talking about some of the topics that I have going on right now. typically I do this for an hour. If we get to a point where you guys have a lot of questions and we're getting on that time where I gotta end because IG only gives me 60 minutes, then I'll create another live. But for the most part, I typically spend about an hour. So, and actually, what I'll do, what I should do is like ask you guys, like, what do you guys want me to talk about? Like, if you guys don't have any questions, and a lot of you guys continuously tune into this show. You guys continuously tune in like every single week. Some of you guys, I've seen you guys consistently for 7 weeks straight, right? Some people pop in, some people pop out, some people are new. But I'll ask you guys this, like, what are some of the topics that you might want me to actually talk about next week? Or what are some of the topics or things that you want me to tell you guys about from my own personal experience? That is also something I'm willing to do. So, or if there's something that I can't answer, I'll try to, research it and try to get back to you guys. But if there's something you guys want me to talk about, please feel free to ask me. This is why I'm here. So we're about 2:40. Got about another 20 minutes or so left on here. So like I said, feel free to ask anything. Let me see what I got going on. Other than that, I know y'all can't be this shy. I know y'all got some questions. Ask some questions. Let me figure out what I'm gonna talk about now. While I wait for some questions. I'm trying to think. Oh, so I will be dropping a bunch of videos here shortly on my timeline. It's gonna be a bunch of quick 30-second to 1-minute videos. Please stay tuned on that because it's going to be very interesting. A lot of topics that you guys might have in mind, I'm going to be dropping and sharing with you guys. But a lot of it is also going to be personal experience. So me talking about some of the worst houses I've been in, some of the worst maintenance calls I've gotten, some of the best maintenance calls I've gotten, what to look for in a house, what to bring when you go and look for a property, how to evaluate numbers when you're like going inside and looking at renovation costs, right? Some of these things you're going to need to know if these are things that you're going to be, if you plan on getting into the real estate game. So really just want to make sure I share and be as open as possible with you guys about my own personal experiences. Anybody that tells you that real estate is easy, they're lying. Anybody that tells you that they haven't had their fair share of problems and aren't continuously having problems at a certain level, they're lying. Not saying problems are a bad thing. Problems are just naturally what comes with this business. And you can't really get into this business expecting things to go perfectly fine and well, because they never do. Every day there's a different thing for me that pops up that I have to try to figure out and use brain power. And that's how I get a lot of my experiences. If we got another question from Keneal, appreciate Keneal because he's active today. My boy got questions. What's your thought on redeveloping or buying properties in black neighborhoods that have yet to be gentrified? So buying those homes that are 100K or less and putting them on the market or renting. So I will actually answer the first question, which is redeveloping or buying properties in black neighborhoods that have yet to be gentrified. Oh, by the way, I have to say this because I completely screwed up last week, and she's probably laughing right now, but hello, Angie. Yes. I forgot your name last week. I know Devontae told you, but Angie is in the building. Everybody say hey to Angie. Yes, I remember. I know who you are. I know your name. I had a brain fart last week. So yes, welcome Angie. Oh man. Yes. Keneal, bro, you should have saw it, bro. I was like, hey, yeah. She was like, you don't know my name? I was like, ah. So yeah, yes, let's welcome Angie, everybody. Yeah, what up, Angie? So back to Keneal's questions. I actually like that question, man. So when it comes to black neighbors, so Baltimore is predominantly black, right? There's only a handful of areas here that are predominantly white areas, and to me, when it comes to properties that have yet to be gentrified, it's got to start somewhere, right? And even if you're not a developer, I guess the gentrification scale is at the developer level, which is where you're affecting and putting things in place that are going to affect mass neighborhoods, right? As an investor like myself, small dog, single family, I play a role, but I'm not a huge role, but it is a role, a very important role. And for me to go into a neighborhood that has not been gentrified, and to go in there and flip a house or rent a house, renovate a house and then rent it out, I'm providing value. It's at a very small scale, but I'm providing value. And if you think of a neighborhood of having 100 houses, and I'm only able to buy one of those houses and affect change at that one house, then I've done my job, right? And so I have no problem investing in the areas that aren't gentrified, primarily because I have things in place, systems in place that are going to allow me to make the return that I need to make on my money, right? I'm willing to deal with some of the things that come with working in those neighborhoods versus other neighborhoods. And so, it just depends on what you are like, what's your tolerance, right? Like some people really like get into this game to go into these underdeveloped neighborhoods and buy the block, which is perfectly fine, right? I have no problem with that. And I actually think that's a better idea than any other idea, because a lot of these homes, man, when you go and renovate a home or you renovate a couple homes on a block and then you put, tenants in there, you're adding value to each and every house out there. And a lot of these homes, a lot of these areas, you see a lot of disparity and things like that. So when they come in and they see somebody come in and renovate a house and they see the inside of it and they're like, oh damn, man, when are you gonna get to my house? Like that encourages other people to renovate their homes in that area. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at the developer level, right? The developer level is gonna come in and say, hey, this is what we're doing. I mean, we can get y'all support, but sometimes we don't have to get y'all support, and we're just gonna throw this Starbucks here, right? But if you're talking about individualistic people, investors coming in and renovating specific properties, that's going to add a lot of value to the neighborhood. And you want these neighborhoods to be brought up, right? How do you bring these neighborhoods up? You raise the property values, right? If nobody's coming in and investing in these areas are going to continue to be desolate. They're going to continue to be deprived, and only when somebody starts coming in and making a difference and changing the way these neighborhoods look and is when these neighborhoods are going to actually change. And it actually is better at the investor level than the developer level, because sometimes at the development level the neighborhoods don't have input. You know what I'm saying? So at the investor level, like where I'm at, I can come in and give input. I'm gonna renovate my house. I'm gonna renovate. Let's say there's one trailblazer, right? One guy comes in and renovates the house on a block that's a completely desolate block. Well, the next investor is gonna come in and say, hey, I see him doing this thing and he's doing okay. All right, well, I'm gonna renovate my house, or I'm gonna renovate my space to look like his, right? And his is not so much to where it's a completely modern house in an area that doesn't have modern houses or those kind of looks, but it's a renovation that fits that neighborhood and doesn't make it look completely out of place, right? As a neighbor, I want the house next to me and the house to the other side of me to look nice, because it's going to make my house look nice, and it's going to make people want to come live around me, so that's what I have no problem doing that. And I think that's probably something that people should do more of, instead of finding areas where you're only investing where you see a Starbucks, or you're only investing where you're half a mile from a grocery store or whatever. No, like these other areas need attention. And that's my problem with Baltimore sometimes, because Baltimore has a lot of different areas that are just rich in culture, like architectural culture, but nobody wants to put money into those places. And yes, at my level, I can only do one house at a time, and I can only affect change one house at a time. but we also need a group of people to be able to come in and help these neighborhoods get to where they're going to be while also incorporating the neighborhood itself. That is the most important thing. You can't develop these areas without the neighborhood's input, because then that's where you get scenarios like DC, where you do find Starbucks in neighborhoods where Starbucks don't even really belong, right? I'm okay with change, but have input from the community, have input from the people that actually live there. Put things in place that are actually going to help the economy around that neighborhood, right? Pop-up shops, things like that. You know, you want to create spaces where people can come and, you know, offer some of the things that they weren't able to be able to offer had somebody not given them the opportunity. So that's how you affect change in these neighborhoods, man. I'm glad you asked that question. And then you got, so buying these homes that are 100K or less and putting them on the market or renting. I don't really know that. I can't really understand that second question. Put some clarity on that one for me if you can. What's up, Stefan? I see you. Doc Blunt BN. Jabria, my dog. How you living? Tell my boy Deb I said hey. Glad y'all could join. Yes, revitalization versus gentrification. You gotta have the community input, man. It's very important, you know. And that's actually, like, sometimes you actually get scenarios where, like, investors want to come into a neighborhood that's all like single families, and they want to go put a big they want to go put like a multi-unit in there or something like that. You can't do that nowadays. You know, you actually have to have the community's input to do that. You actually have to have the community say it's okay, you know, and you can't do that and expect people to be happy, you know, because a lot of times people don't want, sometimes you go to these neighborhoods and you renovate a house or whatever, and the community is going to be asking you, hey, are you putting tenants in there? Are you flipping this house? Like, what are you doing? And a lot of times they don't want to see renters. I've had scenarios where I've been out there working on one of my houses, and people come up to me like, are you renting this? Are you guys going to be renting this? What's going to be going on? And as soon as you say you're going to be renting this, they're like, oh, dang. You know, because in their mind, they see a bunch of, a lot of times people come into those neighborhoods, they rent. A lot of landlords go into those neighborhoods, they rent them out to Section 8 people or bad tenants and throw whoever in there. And it does not add, those people don't add value to the neighborhood, and they do nothing but cause problems. They're not from there, and they come and live there, rent there, and then they cause problems. And then that's where you start seeing the neighbors like, I'd rather somebody come in and flip this house than rent it, because if you flip it, you're going to be making a house that looks very, very nice, and it's going to cost X amount of dollars, and more than likely, somebody's not going to be renting in there. Somebody's going to be buying, and if somebody's buying that house at retail value, it's probably going to be a more established family and things like that. So most of those are oftentimes less than 100K. Wise to buy and rent Section 8 or put on the market. Either way, it'll help to increase the property value in that neighborhood. Yes, and that kind of goes into what I was saying. When you rent to, most of the time where I've had issues with tenants, not tenants, but neighbors, has been when they've found out that I'm going to be renting the house, and they go through their head like, oh, dang, not another Section 8 house, or, oh, dang, not another house is going to have crappy tenants, you know, because, again, landlords, slumlords will buy these houses for cheap, and they'll throw anybody in there, and that doesn't help the community. These people aren't from here, and most of the time they come in there and they do whatever to the house, and then they leave the house. You know, sometimes when it comes to renting, people don't take care of the house because it's not theirs. And so they come in, they rent these houses, and they don't take care of it. And then, again, as a neighbor, the house next to me looks like trash, so it's bringing the property value down, or the I value of my property down, because the person next to me is renting and they're not taking care of the house. So that's why sometimes you'll see people say, hey, I'd rather you flip this house than to rent it out to Section 8. If you're in an area where you are, you know, those values are less than $100,000, you have to buy cheap. And at $100,000, let's say the ARV after repair value is $100,000. That means if you're going to be flipping that house, you need to be buying very, very cheap, because you have to not only include the purchase price, but the renovation costs, all the fees associated with selling that house in order for you to make a profit. So if you're going to be buying for $20,000 and you're going to be putting in, $5,000, and let's say not $5,000, but let's say $20,000 into it, and you plan on selling that house and the ARV is $100,000, that works, right? That works. But also renting works as well. So, I mean, the values have to make sense, right? The values have to make sense. I can't tell you that one works better than the other, but if you're trying to flip it and it's in an area where there's no flips, there's no comparables, then you shouldn't be flipping, right? You shouldn't be flipping it because you got to make your money back too, right? What you could do is buy it, renovate it, stud it out, right? And rent it temporarily until other investors start making their way into that neighborhood and start buying and start renovating and or selling. And once you start seeing some comparables pop up where people are selling for $100,000, then you know it's safe to sell your house too, and you can make that money back. So what else you got? He said, I hope there is an exodus of black people from neighborhoods where they aren't wanted and having to pay an HOA into spaces we can cultivate or develop for ourselves. Ain't that the truth, man? That is the truth, dog. Oh, hey, we got new people. Ridiculous. Hi. Ashley, how you living? Steady Clock, what's up, Brent? How you living? Yeah, man. Black people, like, we have to understand our power, man. And the thing about that is that a lot of times, especially when it comes to this home buying stuff, people don't realize they actually have power and can actually buy and can actually own. You know what I'm saying? HOA fees. I don't buy anywhere where there's HOA fees. I don't got time for those. I just rather not deal with them. Sorry about that. I do believe that black people or people of color should definitely get into these kind of spaces that we have right now and to understand that you don't have to have perfect credit to buy and own. You don't have to have a large amount of money to buy and own, right? A lot of times we find ourselves in these scenarios where, we are stuck paying crazy HOA fees, or we are stuck in places where we can only rent is because we don't have the knowledge or we don't have the wherewithal or somebody didn't tell us that we have actual buying power. And the only way to actually change the way these neighborhoods look and have input is by buying. And you can also create your own neighborhood associations. Look into CDCs. I forgot the actual acronym for it, but look into CDCs, man. CDCs are put into place to where developers can't go in and just pop anything in, right? Some neighborhoods have them. So a CDC is basically a group within a neighborhood that works with developers to make sure the development process of what they're trying to put into that neighborhood is inclusive with the actual people that live there. So CDCs are great. I remember I was talking to the World of Jinx. What's going on? How you living? I know you just popped in. Guys, I've been talking for a while, and it seems like this always happens. I get a lot of questions toward the end of my 60 minutes. But I did just pop up on less than 2 minutes, so this video will end. But what I will do, since, it seems like we got some people on here, I'll create another live. If you guys feel, want to talk some more, I'm going to jump onto the next live, probably within the next minute. And we can continue this conversation because Keneal's asking some great questions and talking about some great things that I think we should discuss. So I will hop over there in the next 30 seconds. Also, remember, if you're not going to hop on, you're going to go about your daily life or whatever, remember, this is every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Today was 2 o'clock because I have some things to do. Every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Please feel free to share this, show it to people, drop it in your stories. Real estate Q&A on my page every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Ask me anything, everything real estate, or we can just talk politics or anything like that regarding real estate and, people buying and having power and things like that. Brit's Life, how you doing? I am actually going to be transitioning to a new live in the next 20 seconds. So I know you just joined, but hop on the next one that I create because I'm going to be talking more real estate stuff if you joined because you have any questions. So I will end this thing now. Guys, I'm going to make another one, so go ahead and transition over to the new one, all right? Peace.